Did you know that a single vitamin you take every night, something you believe is protecting your health, could quietly raise your risk of a stroke while you sleep? No warning, no pain, no dizziness. You go to bed feeling perfectly fine. And by morning, something inside your bloodstream has shifted. Your speech changes, your arm won't lift, your thoughts feel trapped, and all of it begins with a simple pill you trusted. For millions of Americans over 60, vitamins have become part of daily life, a routine meant to strengthen the heart, sharpen the mind, and keep aging at bay. But what most seniors never hear is that certain vitamins behave differently in an older body, especially during the night when circulation slows, blood thickens, and blood pressure rises. In these quiet hours, the supplements you thought were helping you can do the opposite. They can destabilize your heart, disrupt your vessels, and create the conditions where a clot forms silently in the dark. Tonight, while you sleep, your vitamins may be shaping your tomorrow. Let's talk about the ones that could change everything. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. High-dose vitamin E over 400 IU per day. Among all the vitamins older Americans take with good intentions, high-dose vitamin E is the one I wish every senior understood more clearly because it carries a quiet danger that becomes far more serious after age 60. Many people take it believing it protects the heart, sharpens memory, or boosts the immune system. For decades, it was marketed as a miracle antioxidant. But what most older adults never hear is that vitamin E at doses above 400 IU can dramatically thin the blood, so much so that it alters how your vessels respond while you sleep. At night, when your blood pressure naturally rises in the early morning hours and circulation slows, that excessive thinning becomes a setup for disaster. It doesn't feel like pain, it doesn't give warning. You simply close your eyes, fall asleep peacefully, and never realize that something dangerous is unfolding beneath the surface. As we age, the protective lining of our blood vessels becomes more fragile. The arteries stiffen. The tiny vessels inside the brain no longer expand and contract the way they once did. Blood becomes thicker, slower, and more vulnerable to turbulence. When high-dose vitamin E enters the system, it suppresses platelet activity, the very mechanism your body uses to seal small tears inside the vessels. During the night, when your heart rate drops and your breathing slows, blood can pull in these weakened areas. In older adults, this combination is exactly how silent bleeding begins. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and because nighttime strokes often occur during the deepest sleep cycles, many people never wake up in time to ask for help. I've cared for patients who took 800 to 1,000 international units of vitamin E every evening, believing it was harmless because it's just a vitamin. One man in his 70 seconds used it for years, unaware that it magnified the effect of the blood thinner he was prescribed after a mild heart condition. He went to sleep after a quiet Sunday, expecting nothing unusual. By dawn, he had a severe intracranial bleed caused not by trauma, not by stress, but by a vitamin he trusted. That is the part that breaks my heart when I speak with older adults. The realization that the danger came not from something reckless, but from a habit rooted in good intentions. The risk becomes even greater when vitamin E is combined with medications that many seniors take daily. Aspirin, Plavix, Warren, Ilquis, herbal supplements like GKO or garlic extract, even fish oil can amplify the thinning effect. Together, they create an environment inside the bloodstream where a minor fluctuation in blood pressure during sleep can rupture a vessel or allow a clot to travel straight into the brain. And because nighttime dehydration is common in older age, the blood becomes more concentrated, increasing the power of sudden pressure spikes. It is a perfect storm, and most seniors have no idea they are walking into it. What makes this so frightening is that it feels like nothing. You won't feel dizzy before bed. You won't feel your blood thinning. You won't sense the silent pressure building behind a vessel wall. Most nighttime strokes associated with vitamin E overdose happen in people who felt perfectly fine the evening before. If a simple over-the-counter supplement can create this level of danger inside the bloodstream, imagine what happens with a vitamin that alters your nerves, your balance, and your heart rhythm all at the same time. The next one is even more misunderstood and far more common. Let's talk about it. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. High-dose vitamin B6 pyroxine. Among the supplements older Americans reach for, vitamin B6 holds a special place because it marketed as something that calms the nerves, restores energy, and supports brain function. But for seniors, especially those over 65, high-dose B6 does something far more dangerous. Quietly, gradually, and without warning, it can injure the very nerves that help you feel your feet on the ground, sense your balance, and move safely from one room to the next. And when those nerves begin to fail, the body responds with instability, sudden drops in blood pressure, and unpredictable changes in circulation that are especially hazardous at night. Many seniors think a little numbness is harmless aging, but neurologically, it's often a sign that the system is losing control. That loss of control becomes the perfect environment for nighttime strokes because unstable circulation is one of the strongest silent triggers in older adults. Vitamin B6, when taken above safe limits, often anything over 50 to 100 milligrams daily, can cause a form of nerve toxicity known as sensory neuropathy. The problem is that most seniors don't realize how much B6 they are consuming. It's inside energy formulas, multivitamins, nerve support blends, sleep aids, and even common over-the-counter memory boosters. A person may think they're taking a safe dose, but by combining multiple supplements, they end up consuming 2, 3, even 4 times the recommended levels. And the older the body, the slower it clears excess B6, meaning the vitamin can accumulate for years before symptoms appear. When the nerves in the legs and feet become damaged, seniors start to lose the ability to feel the floor beneath them. They shift their weight differently. They wobble more. They take small, hesitant steps to compensate. At night, when visibility is low and blood pressure naturally drops, this combination becomes extremely dangerous. A misstep or sudden fall is not just a fall, it's a trauma that can tear fragile blood vessels, creating internal bleeding or causing a clot to form that later travels to the brain. And because B6-induced neuropathy interferes with the fine signals that help regulate circulation, the body is more likely to experience sudden changes in blood flow during sleep. Those changes are exactly the moments when a clot can form. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it happens silently during the hours when older adults are least aware of what their bodies are struggling with. I've seen seniors who spent months ignoring tingling in the hands, burning in the feet, or a strange sense that their legs were floating, unaware that their daily vitamin routine was slowly damaging their nervous system. One widower in his early 70s had been taking 3 different supplements containing B6, believing they would help him sleep and improve his energy. Over time, he lost nearly all sensation in his feet. One night, while getting up to use the bathroom, he collapsed without understanding why. What followed was a chain reaction. Severe bruising, a tear in a calf vein, and ultimately a blood clot that traveled upward into his brain. A devastating stroke, not because of a disease he couldn't control, but because of a vitamin he trusted. The most frightening part is that high-dose B6 doesn't feel dangerous while the damage is happening. It creeps in slowly, disguising itself as harmless aging until it's too late. And if one vitamin can quietly destroy nerve function, imagine what happens with another common supplement that overstimulates the heart itself, especially during the night when the heartbeat becomes the difference between safety and catastrophe. Let's talk about that next. 3. High-dose vitamin B12 in seniors with heart conditions. Among the vitamins most commonly used by older adults in the United States, vitamin B12 seems like the safest of them all. Doctors recommend it for energy, for memory, for maintaining healthy blood. Pharmacies stack it on the front shelves, and advertisements promise that it keeps you sharp. But for seniors, especially those with heart rhythm problems, hardening arteries, or a history of high blood pressure, high-dose B12 carries a hidden danger that almost no one talks about. It silently overstimulates the cardiovascular system at night when the body is supposed to rest. And that overstimulation can become the spark that ignites a stroke before morning. Vitamin B12 itself is not harmful in normal doses, but when taken at high levels, especially injections or supplements above 1,000 micrograms, it can drive the nervous system into a state of nighttime alertness. The heart begins to beat faster, and for older adults with stiff arteries or underlying atrial fibrillation, this sudden acceleration is not just uncomfortable, it is a direct threat. A heart that beats too fast pumps blood unevenly, leaving pockets where blood can swirl and stagnate. And stagnant blood does what it always does in seniors. It forms clots. A clot created at 2 a.m. may be the same clot that blocks a vessel in the brain at 6 a.m. It triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And most of the time, the person has no idea that their nighttime vitamin routine played a role. I once met a 79-year-old gentleman from Ohio who took B12 injections twice a week because he believed it would restore the energy he once had. He also had mild atrial fibrillation, something he thought was controlled because he rarely felt the irregular beats. But as the B12 built up in his system, he began noticing strange nighttime episodes, waking with his heart pounding, feeling flushed, sweating through his pajamas without a fever. He thought it was stress or maybe nightmares. One morning, his wife found him confused, his speech broken. A stroke had occurred hours earlier during the quietest part of the night, triggered when his heart slipped into a rapid, unstable rhythm and allowed a clot to form. He was a man who did everything right, took his medications, walked daily, ate sensibly. Yet the supplement he trusted pushed his vulnerable heart just far enough off balance to cost him the life he knew. The truth is, as we age, the wiring between the heart and the brain becomes more fragile. The arteries lose flexibility, the heart's electrical system becomes more sensitive, and the brain depends on steady blood flow to survive the night. High-dose B12 pours fuel onto a system that no longer tolerates sudden changes. It can raise blood pressure unexpectedly. It can force the heart into bursts of overactivity, and it can create the perfect conditions for a clot to take shape while a senior lies peacefully asleep, unaware that danger is building from the inside out. The most unsettling part is that seniors often take high-dose B12 in the evening, believing it will help them sleep or restore strength overnight. But in reality, it wakes the cardiovascular system when it should be quiet, and the body pays the price. And if a simple vitamin can push the heart into chaos, imagine what happens when a supplement actually thickens the blood itself, making the bloodstream heavier, stickier, and far more prone to forming clots during sleep. That threat is even more common, and it's the next one we need to talk about. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep going with point number 4. 4. High-dose vitamin D at night. For many older adults across America, vitamin D feels like a lifeline. It's recommended for bone strength, for immunity, even for mood. Doctors often encourage seniors to take it, especially during the winter months when sunlight is scarce. But what almost no one understands, what many physicians don't explain clearly, is that high-dose vitamin D taken at night can quietly create conditions inside an aging bloodstream that turns sleep into a moment of vulnerability. When the dose is too strong or taken at the wrong time, vitamin D can subtly change the chemistry of the blood, stiffen the vessels, raise nighttime calcium levels, and create the exact environment in which a stroke can form before morning. Most seniors don't realize that vitamin D is not just a bone vitamin. It plays a powerful role in regulating calcium absorption. When an older person takes large doses, 5,000 IU, 10,000 IU, sometimes even more, the bloodstream may become overloaded with calcium during the night. And calcium is not benign. When levels rise too high, even slightly, it can cause the blood to become thicker and more resistant to smooth flow. Thickened blood is slow blood. And slow blood, especially in narrow aging arteries, becomes a breeding ground for clots. Older vessels cannot expand the way they once did. The lining becomes fragile, the smooth muscle stiffens, and the brain relies on delicate, steady circulation to stay alive. When vitamin D pushes calcium upward overnight, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And because this shift happens while the body is resting, the warning signs often go unnoticed until the damage is already done. I once cared for an elderly woman in her early 80s who took 10,000 IU of vitamin D every evening because she was afraid of osteoporosis. She believed that if she slept with a full dose in her system, her bones would absorb it overnight. Instead, she began waking with headaches, morning confusion, and an unsettling tightness in her chest. Her family thought it was stress, maybe age catching up with her. Then one morning, she couldn't lift her right arm. The scan showed a clot in her middle cerebral artery, a nighttime stroke that had happened hours before. And when we checked her labs, her calcium was elevated, her blood was unusually concentrated, and her vessels showed signs of stress. Vitamin D didn't cause the stroke alone, but it created the conditions that made it almost inevitable. This is the reality many seniors don't hear. As the body ages, it loses the ability to regulate calcium efficiently. Kidneys no longer clear it as quickly. Blood vessels no longer respond as smoothly, and nighttime physiology changes. Blood pressure dips and rises sharply before dawn. Breathing slows, causing mild dehydration. The heart pumps less forcefully. All of these natural changes make the bloodstream more sensitive to any supplement that alters its chemistry. High-dose vitamin D taken in the evening pushes the system out of balance at the worst possible time during sleep, when the brain cannot afford instability in blood flow or pressure. What makes this especially frightening is how ordinary it seems. A single vitamin capsule, a familiar bottle on the nightstand, a routine that feels harmless. Yet for seniors, one simple habit can open the door to the most devastating type of stroke, the kind that comes without pain, without warning, and without time to call for help. And if a vitamin can quietly alter calcium and thicken the blood, imagine the danger of a supplement that interferes directly with the body's clotting system, one that can actually cancel out life-saving medications older adults depend on. That threat is even more hidden, and it's the next one we must uncover. 5. Vitamin K. 2. Especially dangerous for seniors on blood thinners. For many older adults in America, vitamin K2 has become one of the most popular supplements on the market. Doctors talk about it for bone health. Influencers praise it for heart protection. And advertisements promise it will guide calcium into your bones, not your arteries. It sounds harmless, it sounds helpful. But for seniors, especially those taking blood thinners or medications for heart rhythm problems, vitamin K2 carries a hidden danger that most people never hear until it's too late. It doesn't make you feel sick. It doesn't cause pain. It works quietly inside the bloodstream, altering the way your body clots blood. And in the stillness of the night, that tiny shift can grow into a disaster that steals your speech, your movement, or your independence before sunrise. The truth is, vitamin K2 is part of the same family as vitamin K1, the nutrient doctors tell patients on warfarin to avoid or monitor closely. While K1 affects clotting more directly, K2 still plays a major role in the clotting pathway. For an older adult whose body already struggles with blood flow, stiff arteries, or irregular rhythms, this seemingly innocent vitamin can interfere with the delicate balance. Blood thinners are designed to maintain. Blood thinners don't actually thin the blood. They simply prevent clots from forming too easily. But when vitamin K2 is added into the daily routine, especially without a doctor's knowledge, it can weaken the medication's effect, making the blood more prone to clot than the senior realizes. And that is where the real danger begins. In the hours after midnight, when breathing slows, circulation becomes sluggish, and blood pressure fluctuates, a clot that forms anywhere in the body, often in the legs, the heart, or the neck, can travel like a silent invader straight to the brain. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it does so at a time when older adults are asleep, unable to feel the moment something inside the bloodstream turns against them. I cared for a 76-year-old man from Indiana who had been taking warfarin for years after a minor heart procedure. His levels had always been stable. His doctors were pleased, but he started hearing about vitamin K2 online, how it cleaned arteries, how it built strong bones, how it was safe for everyone. Without mentioning it to his physician, he added a daily capsule of K2-MK7 to his nightly routine. For weeks, nothing seemed different. He slept normally, he walked well, he believed he had made a smart choice. Then, one cold January morning, his wife found him slumped beside the bed, unable to speak, one arm limp at his side. The stroke had occurred sometime in the early morning hours. When the hospital checked his blood, the warfarin that had protected him for years was suddenly ineffective. The K2 had reversed it just enough to allow a clot to form, travel, and lodge deep inside his brain. He survived, but everything changed. His ability to talk, to swallow, even to hold a fork. Most seniors have no idea how sensitive the aging body becomes to changes in coagulation. As arteries harden, circulation slows, and the heart loses efficiency. Even a small shift in clotting can have enormous consequences. Vitamin K2 may feel like a simple supplement, but inside the bloodstream of someone over 65, especially someone taking warfarin, Eliquis, Xarelto, or aspirin, it behaves like a chemical switch. One capsule can tip the balance from protection to danger. One capsule can give a clot the chance to take shape while you sleep. One capsule can erase decades of careful medical management. What makes this even more frightening is that most seniors take K2 without reading the dose, without understanding what MK7 means, and without knowing that the vitamin can remain active in the bloodstream for days, not hours. That long activity window makes nighttime instability even more likely. And if a vitamin can undo the very medication meant to protect your life, imagine the risk of a supplement that thickens the blood itself. A supplement so common that millions of older Americans take massive doses of it every day thinking it's harmless. The next one is far more widespread and the danger is even more subtle. Let's talk about it. 6. High-dose vitamin C, especially megaose powders and tablets. For decades, vitamin C has been seen as one of the safest supplements in America. It's the vitamin mothers gave their children in the winter. The one people took to fight off colds, the one seniors believe strengthens their immune system. In drugstores across the country, you'll find entire shelves stocked with immune support powders, fizzy drinks, chewables, and mega strength tablets, promising protection and vitality. But as harmless as vitamin C may seem, high dose or mega dose vitamin C carries a hidden danger for older adults, one that quietly changes the thickness of the blood, stresses the kidneys, and creates conditions inside the aging circulatory system that can lead to a stroke during the night. It feels safe, familiar, even comforting. But inside the bloodstream, something very different can be happening. As we age, our bodies lose water more quickly. Kidney function declines even in seniors who feel perfectly healthy. Blood vessels stiffen and nighttime dehydration becomes a common problem, especially for older adults who avoid drinking water in the evening because they don't want to wake up to use the bathroom. When a senior takes high-dose vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams, 2,000 milligrams, sometimes even 3,000 milligrams in a single serving, it increases urine production, pulls fluid out of the bloodstream, and concentrates the blood. Thick, concentrated blood moves more slowly, and slow-moving blood is exactly where clots begin to form. It triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. And for seniors, those clots often develop during the quiet hours of sleep when circulation naturally slows and the heart beats less forcefully. I once spoke to a widow in her late 70s who faithfully drank a popular immune fizz packet every night throughout the winter. She believed it kept her strong, but she also avoided drinking water after 6 p.m. because she feared nighttime falls on her way to the bathroom. Over time, she began waking with headaches and a dry mouth, symptoms she brushed off as aging. Then one morning, she couldn't lift her arm. A clot had formed during the night when her blood became too concentrated, too thick, too sluggish to move freely through her stiffened arteries. When the doctor reviewed her supplements, the truth became clear. Her nightly mega-dose vitamin C combined with evening dehydration created the conditions that allowed a blood clot to take shape as she slept. Most seniors don't recognize how powerful high-dose vitamin C can be. They don't realize that it increases oxalate levels, which strain the kidneys, or that it can spike sodium levels in certain powdered formulas, leading to nighttime blood pressure surges. They don't realize that the kidneys of a 75-year-old cannot flush out excess vitamin C the way they once could at 30 or 40. And they certainly don't realize that the nighttime hours when blood pressure dips then rises sharply before dawn are the most dangerous time for thickened blood to circulate through fragile vessels. Even a small clot, one that forms in a calf vein or near the heart, can travel upward during these early morning fluctuations, blocking the blood supply to the brain within seconds. But the danger doesn't always show itself through dramatic symptoms. Sometimes it begins with something subtle: waking up dizzy, feeling pressure behind the eyes, stiffness in the neck, or an unusual sense of fatigue in the morning. These can be early signs that nightly supplement habits are pushing the body toward a point of instability, one that older arteries cannot withstand. And because vitamin C is so familiar, so widely trusted, many seniors never suspect it could be contributing to the very thing they fear most. The truth is simple but frightening. When a vitamin thickens the blood of an older adult, the risk of nighttime stroke rises sharply. And when that vitamin is taken every night, the danger becomes part of a silent routine, one that slowly increases the likelihood of waking up to a life forever changed. And if a common vitamin like C can thicken the blood, imagine the risk of taking a supplement that doesn't just affect thickness, but combines multiple hidden ingredients, often so many that seniors don't even realize how much they're consuming. That kind of supplement is everywhere in America, and it's the next one you need to see clearly. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 7. 7 multivitamins with hidden high dose of the most common. It feels safe. It feels responsible. After all, so many of us grew up hearing that a multivitamin covers the gaps, keeps us strong, or prevents illness. But what millions of seniors don't realize is that modern multivitamins have changed dramatically. Today's formulas often contain high-dose EZ blends of vitamin E, vitamin K2, B6, B12, vitamin D, zinc, herbal stimulants, and compounds meant to boost energy or revitalize the mind. And when these ingredients overlap with the other supplements older adults take separately, the body becomes flooded with powerful doses the bloodstream was never meant to handle. That quiet overdose doesn't feel like poison, but inside an aging circulatory system, it behaves like one. The true danger isn't usually the single multivitamin itself. It's the combination, the stacking, the way ingredients hide behind each other, building up silently day after day. An older adult may take a multivitamin for energy, a separate bone support formula, an immune booster, and perhaps even a heart health blend. Without realizing it, they may be consuming 2, 3, even 5 times the recommended daily dose of vitamins that directly affect blood thickness, nerve function, blood pressure, and the body's clotting system. A younger body might tolerate that without immediate damage. But for someone over 65 whose blood vessels have already narrowed and stiffened, whose kidneys no longer clear excess nutrients as efficiently, and whose heart pumps with less force at night, that stacked dosage becomes a quiet threat. What makes multivitamin overload so frightening is that the symptoms rarely look dangerous. A little tingling in the feet, a little dizziness in the morning, a night of restless sleep, a racing heartbeat that passes quickly. Seniors brush these things off, thinking it's just age catching up. But medically, these are the warning signals that the bloodstream is under stress, that circulation is slowing, that pressure is rising, that blood chemistry is shifting in a way the brain cannot tolerate for long. And when blood flow becomes unstable during sleep, it triggers strokes. It forms blood clots. It sets in motion the very events that have taken so many older Americans by surprise in the quiet hours before dawn. I once cared for an 82-year-old grandmother from Arizona who took 3 different store-bought supplements, all of them labeled multivitamin or complete senior formula. She had no idea each one contained overlapping amounts of vitamin E, vitamin D, B6, and K2. She believed that since they were over the counter, they must be gentle, natural, and safe. Over time, she began waking with headaches, then morning weakness, then episodes where she felt her heart flutter while lying down. Her daughter convinced her to go to the hospital after she fell one night without understanding why. The test showed a clot in her leg, thickened blood, and minor bleeding in the brain, signs that the body had been struggling for months before finally breaking down. Her stroke didn't come from a disease she ignored. It came from vitamins she trusted. Older adults often underestimate how fragile nighttime circulation becomes with age. Blood pressure drops and rises unpredictably. The heart can slip into irregular rhythms without warning. The brain requires a smooth, uninterrupted supply of oxygen, yet the blood moves slower through stiff arteries, especially when the body is dehydrated. When a multivitamin overload increases the concentration of clot-promoting vitamins or overstimulating ingredients, the balance tips even further out of reach. It turns the night into a time of danger rather than rest. And because seniors often take supplements in the evening, after dinner, before bed, the timing intensifies the risk. What makes this issue even more heartbreaking is that it's preventable. With the right information, the right adjustments, and a clearer understanding of how the aging body reacts, seniors can protect themselves. But to do that, they must first understand the bigger picture, the patterns connecting all 7 of these hidden dangers, the truth about what really threatens the brain at night, and the simple changes that could save a life. And that final message, the one that ties everything together, is the part no older adult should miss. Let's bring it all home. Final wake-up call. Protecting your brain begins tonight. After learning how these 7 vitamins can quietly alter your blood, your heart rhythm, and your circulation during the most fragile hours of the night, it becomes painfully clear that the greatest danger facing older adults isn't always disease, it's misunderstanding. Most seniors take vitamins because they want to stay healthy, maintain their independence, and avoid the very problems we've discussed. But the aging body plays by different rules. What was harmless at 40 can become hazardous at 70. What was once helpful can slowly turn into a silent threat. And what you take before bed may matter far more than you ever imagined. Each of the vitamins we discussed can interfere with the delicate balance your body must maintain while you sleep. Some thin the blood too much, some thicken it, some push your heart into rhythms it cannot tolerate. Others disrupt the vessels that feed your brain. Combine them with dehydration, stiff arteries, nighttime blood pressure spikes, or hidden heart conditions, and suddenly the stage is set for a clot to form or a vessel to rupture before the sun rises. It triggers strokes, it forms blood clots, and it steals from seniors the very things they cherish most: speech, memory, mobility, independence, and dignity. But instead of fear, let this knowledge become your protection. Because the truth, the empowering truth, is that most nighttime strokes linked to vitamins are preventable. You have control. You can make thoughtful changes starting tonight. Talk to your doctor before adding or combining supplements. Avoid taking strong vitamins at night. Check your labels for high doses. Drink enough water in the evening to keep your blood from thickening. And remember that your age is not a weakness. It's a signal to care for your body with more precision, not less. You've lived too long, survived too much, and gained too much wisdom to let a simple vitamin bottle decide your future. Your brain, your heart, and your independence deserve protection. And the choices you make tonight may shape the life you wake up to tomorrow. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.